Hello everyone. We'll be having a discussion class on GCS, Glasgow Coma Scale. It's me, Dr. Dipin Lama, and let us start our NMCLE preparation class. This is our free lecture and is available on YouTube platform on Synapse Education. As you can see here, we'll do first of all one question on Glasgow Coma Scale. Glasgow Coma Scale is frequently asked in your exam. You should know about GCS. It is very important in head injury patient. So here is the question. This kind of question is being frequently asked in your exam. A 25-year-old man is unconscious, withdraws from painful stimulus. Eyes are closed, but they open in response to pain, and he is making unintelligible sounds. His pupils are equal and both react sluggishly to light. His Glasgow Coma Scale score is option A is 5, option B is 11, option C is 8, option D is 14. So for this kind of question, you should know GCS in details. So GCS, Glasgow Coma Scale, there is 3 components. You should know 3 components. One is E component, another is B, and M component. E stands for eye opening, B for verbal response, M for motor response. So E is 4, B is 5, M is 6. Maximum. This is maximum, and minimum is 1, 1, 1. So maximum GCS is 15, minimum is 3. So GCS ranges from 3 to 15. Okay, we'll come back to this question. But first of all, let us discuss about GCS in detail. Okay, let us talk about GCS. It is used in head injury. Its implication is in head injury. Clinically, it is very important. GCS is very important and is used in head injury patient. We have 3 components. So let's go to the components of GCS. So we have 3 components of GCS. So one is E, that is eye opening. So E4, maximum is 4. Another is motor response. So its maximum is 6, and another is verbal response. So verbal response, B in Roman is 5. So B5. So E4, B5, M6. We should know E4, B5, M6. This is very, very important. E4, B5, M6. So let's go little bit detail. Okay, firstly, we have the eye opening. Let's discuss about the eye opening. That is E, maximum is 4. Okay, E4, you should remember. So let's draw it. 4, 3, 2, 1. Minimum is 1. Minimum is not 0. It is 1. 4. So for score 4, for eye opening score 4, that is maximum. Eye opening should be, you should remember, spontaneous. What you should remember? You should remember spontaneous. This is very important term, word. You should remember spontaneous. If there is spontaneous eye opening, we give the score 4. That is E4. And for 3, if there is eye opening in response to sound, or verbal, in response to sound, verbal, speech, you can say speech also, in response to speech. So if the patient opens his or eye in response to sound, we give the response 3, and 2 is for in response to painful stimulus, or to the pressure, okay. Pressure, in which area we give the pressure? हामीले कहाँ चाहिँ pressure दिन सक्छ? We give the pressure in fingernail. We can press in the fingernails. We can also squeeze with trapezius. So we can also squeeze trapezius, and we can give orbital squeeze. So we can do these 3 pressure to check the eye opening, and if there is response, we give the score 2, and for it is minimum, that is 1, that is none. There is no eye opening. To any of the above, so that is 1. So this is very important. So you should remember eye opening, that is maximum is 4, minimum is 1, and 3 is to sound, 2 is to painful stimulus or to pressure. Now let's go to the second component. So second component is verbal response. So second component is verbal response. So verbal response B. For verbal response, the maximum is 5. The maximum is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. B5 is normal response or oriented. Normal or oriented verbal response. He or she can give normal conversation. He can or she can have normal or oriented conversation. Then we give the score 5. B5. For B4, it is confused. If he or she is confused, like where am I? He or she may say, where am I? Like confused. If he or she gives confused sentence, it is in the sentence, then it should be confused, but it should be not oriented. It should be confused. So confused is the important term here in V4. For V3, it is words. V3 is words, and that should be incoherent, and it is words. For V2, it's only sounds. It's only the sounds. And for V1, there should be no speech, no response, no speech. That is V1. So for V2, don't be confused. Sounds. V2 is only sounds. V3 is words. V4 is confused. But in sentence, so patient can speak in sentence, but he or she is confused. This is verbal response, and the last part is the motor response. And for motor response, we have the 6. Maximum score is 6, minimum is Minimum is 1. For all, minimum is 1. So motor maximum, it has 6. So maximum score is, it's normal, that is always command. This is important. Always command is important. He or she obeys the command. Then we give score 6. If we tell the patient to move his leg or her leg, if the patient moves his or her leg, then we give the score 6. If he or she obeys the command, the score is maximum 6. Another is 5. For the score 5, localizes. That is, this is very important. So if he or she localizes where? Localizes to the stimulus. Localizes to the stimulus. Suppose we press his certain parts, we give the pain to his certain parts, and if he or she tries to remove that pain that we are giving, that if he or she tries to remove our hand from the exact place that we are giving him the stimulus, then we give the score 5. So localizes the pain, so that is 5. For 4, it is withdrawal. It is withdrawal, and it is normal flexion. If the patient cannot localizes the pain that we give or the stimulus we give, but he has normal flexion of the body, he has the withdrawal response, then we give the score for M4. For M3, that is abnormal flexion. There should be abnormal flexion. There should be what? Abnormal flexion. And for score M2, there should be extension. So this should be extension. And for 1, that is no motor response, that is no movement at all. So no movement is 1. So we have the GCS maximum is 15, minimum is 3. Maximum is 15, minimum is 3. So after knowing this, we can easily solve this question. So we can easily solve this question. Let us solve this question. So let us read again the question. Patient is unconscious, withdraws, this is very important, withdraws from the painful stimulus. Withdraws from the painful stimulus. This is M. So the withdraws, when we have read from M4. That is, in M4 we have read that it is withdraws or normal flexion from the painful stimulus. So this is M4. Eyes are closed, but they open in response to pain. In response to pain, that is, we have studied in E2. E4 is spontaneous. E4 is spontaneous. E3 is to speech or to sound. Here in questions, eyes are opened in response to pain. That is E2. E2 is in response to pain, and E1 is no opening at all. So the question, according to the question, it is E2, and he is making unintelligible sounds. And sounds, where we have read verbal, or sounds, it is V2. It is V2. V2 is sound. V2 is sound. Don't be confused. V2 is sound. V3 is words. If here the question was words, like inappropriate words, then it should be V3. But here the question is asking sounds. So sound is V2. V2 is sound. V3 is words. You should not be confused. And V4 is sentence, but confused. The sentence should be confused one, and V5 is the normal one, and V1 is the no sound at all. So according to the question, unintelligible sound is V2. So let us do E2, V2, M4. So 2 plus 2, 4, 4 plus 4, 8. So total is 8. So GCS score is 8. So GCS score is 8. So correct answer is 8. So recently the GCS has been revised. GCS has been revised to GCS P. So GCS has been revised to GCS P. So let us discuss the revised GCS also. That is GCS P. What is P? It is pupillary response. Pupillary response. It is pupillary response. This is revised Glasgow-Coma score, and P is pupillary response. So GCS same. That score is 15. Maximum is 15. Minimum is E4, V5, M6. So E, V, M component are there in GCS, but P is added. That is pupillary response. So pupillary response score we should know. This is, we look at the pupil in the eye and it is responsive or unresponsive. It is responsive or unresponsive to light. This is important. If pupil is unresponsive to light, if both pupils are unresponsive to light, then we give the score 2 for 1. One pupil is unresponsive to light, then we give the score 1 for 0. No. Neither pupil are unresponsive to light. That is 0 means normal response, or pupil are responsive. Both 0 means both pupils are responsive to light. So this is the score for GCS P. If they ask the GCS P, this GCS P score, we should suppose the patient has GCS of 11 and P pupillary score. So suppose is one pupil is unresponsive to light and one is normal. One is responsive to light. That means the score is 1. So for GCS P score, simply we have to minus the total GCS, that is 11 minus 1, that is GCS P score is 10. So simply we can calculate easily like this. So GCS, for GCS it is same, no change at all. If E component, V component, M component are there, and GCS P score, if they ask the GCS P score, we simply calculate the pupil, it is unresponsive to light or not, and according to that we give the score, and we can calculate GCS P score by subtracting the total GCS and pupillary response. So this is the revised one. Let us do one clinically related question. They may ask you the case question, CSQ, and this is they may ask you in the head injury. They may ask you the They may ask you the GCS in this kind of question, in head injury question. So if the patient has head injury, they may ask you the GCS score. This can be asked in the CSQ. Suppose let us discuss this question. A man had a head injury present with lucid interval of 1 hour, followed by headache and hemiparesis. What is the most likely diagnosis? What is the most likely diagnosis? They may ask you this kind of question. So you should know the head injury. You should know the primary head injury. Primary head injury. That is, you should know EDS, that is epidural hematoma or extradural hematoma. You should know the subdural hematoma. And primary head injury consists of, another is diffuse axonal injury. Diffuse axonal head injury, DAI. These are the primary head injury. So other components of the head injury, you should also know. So for GCS also, these kind of related related, you should know the head injury case scenario. So for this, what is the most likely diagnosis? Whether it is A, subdural hematoma, or B, epidural hematoma, or C, parenchymal hemorrhage, or D, subarachnoid hemorrhage. So question is asking present with lucid interval. Here's the hint: lucid interval of 1 hour followed by headache and hemiparesis. So if there is lucid interval, the answer is always epidural hematoma. So answer is epidural hematoma or extradural hemorrhage, EDH. So for subarachnoid hemorrhage, there should be severe headache. There should be severe headache, worst headache of life. Patient complaints of worst headache of life, and there is no lucid interval. In subdural hematoma, there is lucid interval is uncommon. So lucid interval separates epidural and subdural hematoma in this case. So the answer is epidural hematoma. So let us go to what is the pathological cause in above condition. In this head injury case, what is the pathological cause in this case? So A is tear of middle meningeal artery, B is tear of breathing veins, C is vasospasm, D is rupture of middle cerebral artery. So what is the answer? So pathological cause or cause for the cases of EDS, epidural hematoma or extradural hemorrhage. The main cause is tear of the middle meningeal artery. Tear. If there is tear in middle meningeal artery, there is EDS, epidural hematoma. For subdural hematoma, the breathing veins, there is tear in the breathing veins. So breathing veins, subdural hematoma. So breathing veins, subdural hematoma. Don't be confused. Breathing veins, subdural hematoma or subdural hemorrhage. For epidural, this is the case of epidural hematoma. So tear of middle meningeal artery. So here CT scan. Here another question is CT scan in this condition shows. So in epidural hematoma, what is the CT scan finding? They may ask you CT scan finding. Lens shows convex hyperdensity, crescent shape concave hyperdensity, convex hypodensity, concave hypodensity. So in EDS, there is lens shaped convex hyperdensity, lens shape or lentiform shaped, shaped convex hyperdensity. Crescent shaped is in subdural hematoma. Crescent shaped concave hyperdensity is seen in subdural hematoma. This is the case of epidural hematoma. So answer is lens shaped convex hyperdensity. Here you can see the two CT scan findings. So which one is epidural hematoma and which is subdural hematoma? So this is A, this is B. So which is EDS, epidural hematoma, and which is SDS? So CT scan finding, which, as you can see here the CT scan, you can see this is lens shaped. And there is a convex hyperdensity. So this is lens shaped, lentiform, convex hyperdensity. So this is the finding of epidural hematoma. As in this case, this is the epidural hematoma. And here B, this is crescent shape. This is crescent shape, concave hyperdensity. So this is the finding of SDS. CT scan finding of subdural hematoma. So this is the correct answer. So why I have this question here? We are talking about GCS. So why GCS is important? It is important in head injury patient. So they may ask you in the exam the case of the head injury. They will present with the case of the head injury, and they may ask in CSQ, they may ask you GCS. So you should know the GCS. So let us solve this question. A patient can open eye to verbal command, withdraws to pain, utters inappropriate words. What is his GCS? So let us again revise the GCS. So E score, B score, and M score. We know E, open eye to verbal command. Open eye to verbal command or speech or sound. That means simply it is E3. So question is asking E3. As we know, E3 is eye opening in response to verbal or to sound or speech. So this is E3. Withdraws to pain. So withdrawal, again withdrawal, that is withdrawal means M4. Withdrawal to pain means M4. M5 is localizes. If the question was localizes to pain, M5. But in question there is withdraws to pain, M4. And if there is abnormal flexion, then it is M3. M3 is abnormal flexion. Question will ask you abnormal flexion. So withdraws to pain, M4. So E3. Utters inappropriate words. Inappropriate words. So they are asking inappropriate words. For words, directly go to B3. B3 is words. B3 is words. Don't be confused. B2 is sound. B2 is sound. Okay. B4 is confused, but in sentence, confused sentence. So we know that. So B2 is sound. Here words, B3. So E3, B3, M4. So answer is P plus 3 plus 4, that is 10. So answer is 10. So the answer is 10. So GCS. So GCS is important in head injury. So another question, what is the grading of this injury? So you should know the grade. It is according to GCS. So according to this GCS concept, Glasgow Coma score, we give the grading of head injury. So this is important, grading of head injury. Grading of head injury. So, you know, simple. This is very, very easy. This is very, very easy. There is mild head injury. There are 3 types of head injury. Mild head injury according to GCS score. Another is moderate head injury. Moderate head injury, and the last is the severe one. Severe head injury. Severe head injury. According to this, we can decide the treatment as well as outcome of the patient. So for mild head injury, we have the score of greater than 13. So for moderate head injury, moderate head injury 9 to 12, and for severe head injury it is less than 8. For severe head injury it is less than 8. So this is important. So greater than 13 is the mild head injury, and 9 to 12 moderate head injury, and severe head injury is less than or equal to 8. So here the question, how much GCS we have calculated? We have calculated the GCS 10. We have to calculate GCS 10. So 10 falls in moderate head injury. So 10 falls in moderate head injury. So the correct answer is B. What is the grading? Moderate head injury. So GCS is important. So according to this, we can solve the question. So today we have discussed on Glasgow Coma score, and it is important in head injury patient. So sometimes they may ask you, if the patient is intubated, so for patient, if patient is intubated, so he or she cannot speak. So for verbal response, if that we should do V and T. that is not tested. We cannot test the verbal response. If the patient is intubated, we cannot test the verbal response. So not tested, VNT. We should write VNT. And if the patient has eye patch, if the patient has eye patch in the eye, if he or she has eye covered, fully covered, then ENT, not tested. Eye response, we cannot test eye response if he or she has eye patch, and or if the patient is already paralyzed. The patient is already paralyzed, both hand as well as leg, his body is paralyzed, then already before he has paralyzed condition, then M, we cannot test motor response, that is not tested. M, not tested. So we can write ENT, VNT, MNT, depending upon the condition of the patient, depending upon the condition of the patient. So this was for today. So we'll be having next discussion class, and we'll be having live NMCLE in this channel. Coming Wednesday, we'll have our class. So see you. Have a great day. Thank you all.